Hi, Stefan. I'm Sarah from the upcoming. So lovely to speak to you. Maybe you could just kick off with a brief intro to Hinterland playing here at the London Film Festival.
Hinterland, sort of the story is right after the First World War. Prisoners of war come back home to Austria and have to realize that the world has changed completely, and there's a lot of new political ideas like National Socialism, communism getting strong. There are new forms of art, and everything has changed, and they have major problems to readjust to that new world, and to somehow show the way our heroes perceive this new world. We created sort of like expressionistic sort of backgrounds. We shot the whole movie with blue screen, and then created sort of a fantastic world, and in a way it's like a digital version of the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, that famous German expressionist movie from 1920, where they made sort of the set decorations like distorted, and we did the same thing with contemporary means like visual effects, and yeah.
Obviously, you focused on the Second World War in your in the counterfeiters. So, what is your preoccupation with kind of going back and looking at these periods of time, and why specifically about going back to the First World War for this one?
Sort of, I learned that the time after the First World War was most interesting, in particular, actually much more than the years after the Second World War. After the Second World War, I think all over the world people said, we don't want to talk about this anymore. Everything has to be clean and nice, and it's Doris Day and Marilyn Monroe, and no problems. And it took some decades actually before like Holocaust was discussed on a bigger scale. It was quite different after the First World War, where people, especially in Germany and especially in Austria, really perceived that as a major catastrophe, as a major crisis. Everything had changed. Like in Austria, it shrunk from a huge empire to a tiny country. The emperor was gone, everything was gone, and people reacted to that with a feeling of insecurity and also with aggression. Because whenever sort of things change in a fundamental way, and values you thought were unchangeable, often a reaction is aggression against oneself, against others.
See, it's like these periods of history have been covered many times. So why do you think it's still important to revisit different periods in our history? And how were you able to find kind of a new way in, a new way of representing the subject matter?
I mean, of course, it's always, if you're dealing with history, it's always a way to look at sort of the present, and it's just sort of dealing with ideas, what happens to these ideas in that historical setting as opposed to nowadays, and this, I think, is interesting. And of course, you're right. Sort of with period movies, there's always the danger that it gets sort of, a bit corny in a way, and these. I mean, there's especially, sort of the 30s, 40s, tweed jackets and everything is sort of nice. And this is why we chose this different approach to create really a completely different world. And sort of another movie that comes to mind is Sin City, which is, and also my movie, though it's based on history and is dealing with difficult issues, it still also has qualities of a graphic novel. There's a thriller and gruesome murders happening, but sort of the interesting thing, I think, is the visuality and sort of the psychology of both our protagonist and the society back then.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, and enjoy your screening here at the London Film Festival.
Thanks.